to female transgender woman. I'm pretty excited today. Actually, I just hooked up my webcam. I'm pretty new to the technology, to be honest with you, but I hooked it up through Skype, and I could see my video. I could see my camera in operation. So I assume that the connection was done correctly. I just had to reinstall the software for Skype, but that will enable me to speak to friends from all over, and also to video chat with them if they have a video recording device or webcam. So I'm starting to get to a little bit of a more technical level with my computer and the accessories. So now I can talk to some of my transgender girlfriends that live far away. That makes me feel better and happier. And I've been trying to be consistent with doing videos on a regular basis. I'm starting to grow subscribers, and I hope that I continue to. It's my intention to share my experiences as a transgender woman, and to let people know that it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have it in your heart that you wish to eventually transition, and you know that it's the right thing, then you shouldn't let things hold you back. Obviously, I understand concerns and reservations. I've been there, and I've lost in the process. So certainly it's not an easy thing to have to come to terms with. And I know that I needed a lot of support when I was going through the anguish of deciding whether I should go forward with my transition from male to female. Certainly it's not something that many people can understand, and a lot of my family and friends are not in the loop with transgender related issues because they really don't know anybody who's transgender. So in my family, I kind of set the standard for being transgender. I'm the first in my family that I know of who is struggling with their gender identity. So I'm actually the very first in my family to come out as a transgender woman. And I take a certain amount of pride in that. I think there's no shame. And just like I'm the very first in my family to receive a college education. So, there are a couple of firsts that I'm known for now. And, my legacy in life is obviously my son, making sure that he does well in his life. He struggles also with autism. So, and I want to continue our relationship as father and son, even though I'm living as a woman full time. I think it's very important that he knows that I will always be there for him, and that I will always be his father. And he's come to understand and accept me as a person, and he's sensitive to my own struggles and my own personal needs and fulfillment. So I'm very proud of him. He's a teenager. He's going through his own battles right now, but he's very mature, and I couldn't be more proud of him, and I want the very best for him, and I want him to be happy in his life. I don't want him to be sad and feel lonely like I have all throughout my life. I can't complain. I have a decent life, but I struggled, and I was fearful, and I lived in secrecy, and I don't want that for my son. I want him to be happy and to grow and to develop. I hid, and I wasn't able to share with people my true inner spirit. You know, if I was able to um, share my true personality with people, you know, I would have been dressing in women's clothes in public as early as I could, you know, shave. I didn't like the idea that I had to shave. I wanted to wear dresses and be a girl, and you know, I have those early recollections. I was just 12, 13 years old when I knew that I was meant to be a girl, and I couldn't figure out why I was born the way I was. And I knew there was something wrong at the age of 3. So I fall into the traditional uh, mold of a transsexual, where you know basically from early childhood. I knew as early as 3 years old that I should have been a girl. So it took me a long time to realize my dream of transitioning. You know, I got caught up in life and expectations as a man, you know, trying to fit the mold. You know, I desperately tried to do the best I could. Obviously wanted to study and go on to college. I tried initially when I was in high school before going to college, so I could try to do it on my own instead of having to have my parents worry about my college. I tried to enlist in the Marine Corps, but I was not, I was disqualified because of my medical background. I had, as a teenager, broke my arm in 2 places. So I had metal plate and screws in my arm. That happened when I was about 13. I flipped over on my bicycle on a sandy road because we had a pretty bad winter with snow. So there was a lot of sand still on the street. And I just flipped over, and I knew right then and there that my arm just split in half. It was horrible. And then my dad took me to the hospital, where I laid on a cold table in the hospital for like hours before I was seen by an orthopedic surgeon. And I also have psoriasis, so when I tried to enlist in the Marines, they denied me. So, you know, I was depressed about it. Took me a day or two to you know, bounce back from the disappointment. And I just figured, you know, I'll go to a community college where it's not so expensive, and then I'll figure out what I want to study. And I decided on Nassau Community College, and I went there for engineering science. And I had the intention, obviously, to continue. And I wanted to study, like my uncle, mechanical engineering. So I transferred to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. Beautiful place, beautiful school, wonderful people, where I pursued a mechanical engineering degree. And then I wanted to combine it with accounting. So after completing my studies in Virginia, I went to Hofstra and I got an accounting degree. So I have a technical background in engineering and a business with accounting. And you know, then I started work. So I kind of got tied up in my life and, you know, presenting as a male, which I really had no choice. And, you know, I tried to make the best of the situation. And I was cross-dressing all throughout those years. And that was really what kept me sane, to be honest with you. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't cross-dress. The cross-dressing was not what I was. I was not a cross-dresser. The cross-dressing was just a way to deal with my gender identity confusion. And it was also a release that I could express my true inner gender feelings as a female. because I wore very feminine clothing, and I even wore them underneath my male attire. I wore dresses constantly. I was drawn to dresses. That was really my favorite outfit. And whenever I wore a dress and I didn't have to hide it, which was during periods where I was alone, I just felt much happier and I felt very comfortable. And I knew that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be this way. Cross-dressing was just a way to deal with my inner feelings. But I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I lived at home. I lost my mom. I was in my late 20s when she passed, and she was relatively young. She died at the age of 50, God rest her soul. And then I lived with my dad for a long time. After that, it was very hard for him after losing mom. He struggled mightily, and I tried to be there for him. But I was struggling with my own issues, and I certainly couldn't have told my dad what was going on with me. So, I lived in this shadowy, secret life, and I never dated much, if at all. I hadn't dated, really. So I tried to figure out what was going on. And that's when I started going to therapy. And I started going with the intentions of wanting to explore transitioning. I was around 33 when I first started going to a therapist, which is pretty late in my life because I've been struggling since I was 3. So you're talking about 30 years from the time I knew that I was different, from the time I actually sat in a therapist's office and shared my story with tears, I might say. And I told the therapist that I was definitely, in my mind, heart and soul, a transsexual woman. And I wasn't sure what I should do about it. I tried really hard to fit in as a male and to do the right things. I have a career. I haven't had any experiences with women in a dating situation, but I was always attracted to women, but I felt very awkward and shy, and I was always afraid that if I dated a woman, she would eventually figure me out, and that was what I was scared about, was that, because women have a very intuitive way about them, that I figured they would definitely find me out as a transgender. So I was extremely shy, and I avoided relationships altogether, and I just buried myself in work like I buried myself in school, so I didn't have to deal with the pain of being transgender. It was very emotional times for me. And I was going to this therapist for about 33 was when I first started to see her. And I was going to her for several years. And then, I told her about my experiences. I drove down to a clinic in Virginia, gender identity clinic. I drove to Connecticut to a support group meeting for transgender individuals. And I told her about my curiosity and my desire to learn more about the process of transitioning from male to female. And she was kind of like not so keen on me going in that direction. And she kind of focused on the aspect of my dating, trying to meet someone. And she thought it might be beneficial if I had experienced dating and having a relationship with a woman. And so she actually put me in touch with a girl who eventually I fell in love with and married. And she was shy. She was here from the Philippines. She was starting to adjust to living here and trying to experienced life, and we were kind of on the same wavelength. You know, we both were very shy, we were both very insecure. You know, we were very inexperienced in relationships, and I felt very attracted to her. So I thought, you know, that I would give it a shot and see where it would take us. And I, you know, tried desperately to suppress my cross-dressing feelings and my gender dysphoria, and, you know, engage in a healthy, normal relationship with a woman who I was attracted to. And I felt at odds with myself because I couldn't come to terms with being honest with her and open about my transgender struggle, because even though I tried to bury it, those feelings, I knew that they were still there and that I would have to deal with them eventually. But I was just excited to have a friend who was a female persuasion, and you know, we started to date. We went to movies. The first movie we saw together was with Rowan Atkinson in Mr. Bean, where he plays a security guard in a museum, and it was hilarious. We never laughed so hard. You know, he is a very funny character, Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, and it was about a museum guard who gets mistaken for this intellectual art connoisseur, and he destroys a painting and tries desperately to fix it. So we really enjoyed the movie, and then after we went to a Applebee's where we had a nice dinner. So I remember that experience, our first date, as if it was yesterday, and it was exciting. I enjoyed it. I was a true gentleman. I, you know, opened the door for my newfound girlfriend, and you know, we hit it off, and then we continued to maintain a relationship and dated, and eventually we discussed getting married, and now we've been married 17 years, and we have a son who's 16, and our son is our pride and joy. He's on the autistic spectrum. He has his share of struggles, but he's a wonderful kid. In fact, I just got off the phone with him, where he goes upstate to a special school. So I definitely miss him. It's not the same without him home, but you know, we try to make the best of it, because you know, he's going away to the school to grow, and it's in his best interest. So we have to look at it in a positive way, and you know, I want Maddie to be happy. I want him to find his way and to just feel loved and accepted and make friendships. When I was growing up, it was very hard for me to fit in. I just felt very isolated and very alone and depressed, and I just didn't know how to handle my inner struggle. I battled with gender dysphoria all my life, basically. Even though I didn't know the term, I knew that I had a gender identity conflict. And I started to reach out, and you know, I went on different websites. I went on crossdressers.com, and I posted on the transgender, transsexual forums, and actually that's where I learned about Callum Wood, where I initiated my transitional process. I've only been transitioning now for the past 2.5 years, when I started seeing a doctor at Callum Wood, Dr. Juliet Woodhoff, and after seeing her for 3 months, she placed me on a female hormone, estradiol, and a testosterone blocker, spironolactone. So I take those two pills, the estradiol I take 3 times a day, and it's 2 milligrams. And spironolactone I take twice a day, and that's 100 milligrams. And I'm pretty happy with the transition. I'm seeing much more feminine changes, and I also get my hair done, and I get highlights, and obviously I'm wearing dresses, and I'm very happy about that. So overall, I'm pretty pleased with my transition from male to female, and my son is accepting it, and my wife is a struggle, but she's starting to see that this is something that I really have no choice, and I've struggled with this for all my life, and this is just a part of me, and I'm not hiding it anymore. I'm not ashamed. There's no reason why I should be. Once I hit my 50s and dealt with some tragedies, with the tragic suicide of my dad and the tragic premature death of a very close friend, that pushed me into this direction, because I realized that life is very uncertain, and I didn't want to go to my grave being miserable as a male, and I deep down inside wanted to live as a female. So that's when I decided at age 51 that I was going to transition from male to female, and now I just turned 54 on January 18th, so I'm almost 3 years into my transition, and I'm very happy. I'm not working. I'm on medical disability for my bipolar disorder, and I've been in the hospital for suicide ideation, and also I'm struggling. Obviously, I'm dealing with gender dysphoria. The gender dysphoria doesn't actually go away. It's always there, but it's very it's very much improved in my situation since I started my transition from male to female. I'm much more happier now, and eventually I would definitely seek the gender reassignment surgery. Certainly I want to have that done, and I've reached out to Dr. Morrissey Bauer's office, so I'm hoping that eventually I will be able to get the 2 letters I need from my doctors, so I can proceed forward with the gender reassignment surgery, and hopefully Dr. Morrissey Bowers will be able to do it. That would be very reaffirming for me, and I would be very happy about that. But as of now, I'm just living my life full-time as a woman, transgender woman. I've been living full-time for the past 2.5 years, and I'm very happy. I go out all the time, just like this, basically, and I blend in pretty well. I'm pretty, small. I'm 5'5". I weigh 160 pounds, so I guess, I definitely want to lose some weight, but I'm at a good size. There are some of my transgender friends, male to female, are very tall. I have some transgender girlfriends that are in there. They're like 6'5", and they kind of have a hard time, because they stick out. So I've been blessed with a small frame, petite size, and I also have no problem with my neck, with the Adam's apple. I've been lucky that it's not prominent. And so there are many things that I've been fortunate with in my transition from male to female, because from what I understand, there are a lot of trans women that have to do tracheal shapes, they have to do facial feminization, they elect to do breast augmentation, which, I don't have the monies to do all of this, so I just rely on the hormones, basically, and I hope eventually to do the gender reassignment surgery, but that would be the extent of my transition from male to female, and the gender reassignment surgery is still uncertain, but I'm hoping for that. I just have to stay out of the hospital. I've been in the hospital too many times, so I just have to watch myself. But I've been treated very well. The doctors treat me nice. The police who come and transport me to the hospital have been wonderful. They accept me as a transgender woman, and they're very sympathetic. So, you know, I haven't had any problems. I've been very blessed. And, you know, I've been very interested in watching other trans girls on YouTube. I watch a lot of videos. I love to watch the transformation video, or I should say the transition videos, as they show their time frame on hormones and the progression. The one thing that I find a little concerning is that I've come across some transgender girls' YouTube channels where they started out doing videos and then they disappeared off the radar screen. And I wonder what happened to them. You know, I'm concerned, you know, as a fellow transgender girl. You're always concerned about their own situations, and when you see them and they do a video and then you don't see them anymore, you just can't help but wonder. And I hope that they're okay, because I've heard tragic stories where there were transgender girls doing videos and a couple of them committed suicide. So you just don't know, and that really alarms me. You know, I'm very concerned for the community, and I find that these girls are brave, and I very much enjoy watching them, and I learned quite a lot, and it's been very helpful to me in my own personal transition, and gave me the encouragement to start my own channel and do my own videos, even though I still have my channel in my male name, because I got messed up with Google with my female gender channel, because I can't download videos on it. I have no way to log in properly, so I'm using my male persona YouTube channel to keep up the continuity of my male to female transition. But it is frustrating, because the whole point in setting up my female gender channel was to transition from the male to the female. So I gotta reconfigure how to do this, where I might have to create a whole new YouTube channel in my female gender and just start from scratch. But it's very disturbing to me, because I have done several videos on that channel, Iannielli. So I have two channels. I have Edward Iannielli, where I'm doing my current videos, and I have Emily Iannielli. But I don't want to lose the continuity, you know, and I do have subscribers to both. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best thing to do, and obviously if I start a new channel, that means I'm going to start with 0 subscribers, and then I got to prove myself all over again. So I'm very frustrated about that, and I don't know really how to address it.